All right, so in my last video, we showed how to find averages or means using the average button. And we did it two ways, right? This column found the average of all the cereals. And in the one below, we just highlighted the General Mills cereals. So those are the cereals with the manufacturer of G, right? But we had to do that by hand. So what if we wanted to do this automatically? So there's a way we can do that. So let's do that again. So I'm going to add, let's see, the G, which was General Mills cereal, and there was, let's see, Kellogg's K, Post, Nabisco, Quaker Oats, and Ralston. I don't know, Railston. I don't even know if I'm spelling those right. I had to look that one up. But okay, so there's a command called, just like there's a command called average, there's a command called AverageIF. And AverageIF kind of checks one criteria, and if you meet that criteria, then it finds the averages of the numbers in those rows. So I'm going to say equals AverageIF. I type that in. There's AverageIFs too if you want to have multiple criteria. So the first thing I want to look at is my criteria range. So that's the manufacturer. I want this to be the manufacturer. So I'm gonna go in and highlight all of those. So from row B2 to B77. I want to hit comma. And all right, now what's the criterion? What am I looking for? Well, I want, let's see, I was in the General Mills, I believe, and so I want that to be G. So I'm going to type in G, and then comma, and then which column do I want to look at? So I was looking at the calories of those. So here we go. So this should find me the average calories per serving of the cereals that have G listed as their manufacturer. So I'm going to put a close parentheses on that and go. Oh, I got an error. Wouldn't you know it? And the error is because Spreadsheets doesn't recognize G as a number, and it wants to find a number. If I want it to be a text, I'm going to surround the G with 2 quotation marks. There we go. Now it's going to look for something in column B that has G. So let's see. Look at that. 119. That's it. That's how we did it with General Mills, and that's the right thing. So if I wanted to do it for Kellogg's, I can do 2 things. Well, look, actually, this is not going to work entirely, but I'm going to drag it down. And here's why it's not going to work. 2 reasons. One is that it pulled down a range. Do you see that? How now the selected cells are not using, they're not including row number 2. So I can go back and adjust that. And it's including row 78. So really I still want to just look at B2 to B77. So I'm just typing that in there. And then D2 to D77. Okay, now this is exactly what it was above it, so that's good. But if I wanted to change from General Mills to Kellogg's, I'm going to replace that G with a K. And there we go. So that's what it is for Kellogg's. And here's maybe an easier way to do it. I'm going to copy that cell. I'm actually going to copy everything in it. So, right, Control C. That way it didn't adjust anything. And now I can go in here and make it P. Okay. So remember how when I dragged this down, how it adjusted? Actually, that didn't adjust. That's nice, but it's exactly the same. Oh, no, it did adjust. Shoot. I see. The number didn't adjust. And this one even went down too. Do you see that? So let's say I don't want it to adjust. So Google Sheets thinks it's being helpful. And when I drag it down, the formula it has is the cells that are starting, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 above it, all the way up to 76 above that. But if I want it to be those rows specifically, then I'm going to go in and in the criteria range, this is kind of an advanced topic. I want to hit a $sign. And that means that when I copy this cell over, I'm not going to copy over, I'm not going to adjust the rows. The row numbers are going to stay exactly the same. Let's see, yep, they stayed exactly the same. So now I can just go in here and change the P to, this is Nabisco, so I'll change that to N. And Quaker Oats, change that to Q. And Ralston, I'm going to copy it down and change that to R. Look at that. All right, so now I've got the calories there. And these are the averages just for those. If I want to find this, same issue though. Let's say let's watch what happens here. This is the average of the calories for General Mills cereal. And I want to find the average for the protein levels in General Mills cereal. So I'm going to just take the formula I had here and drag it over to the right. And I get this error. I click on it and look at this. It's because now it's shifted both of those. It shifted both of those columns over to the right. I don't know if you notice that. When I was looking at calories, I was looking at column B and it was searching for just the rows in column B that had a G for General Mills, and then it was finding the average of those calories. And when I dragged it over for protein, the manufacturer, what I wanted to be the manufacturer, dragged itself over too. So that's because I got to make some adjustments. So, all right, that's broken. So back in the original, I want it to always be column B. So I'm going to put the $sign in front of that B. And since I do always want it to be row 2 through row 77, so I always want to be B. But I'm actually okay if the D shifts, right? Because when I drag this formula over for protein, I want the spreadsheet, I want Google to automatically update that and change the average from this column to the column or the average of column E, protein. And when I drag it over to the next cell, I want it to find that. So I'm not going to put a $sign in front of D, but I am going to put it in front of the rows. All right, so I think that was good here. That looks good. So now I'm going to drag this one over and see if that looks good for protein. All right, so I think that means that the average protein for General Mills cereals was 2. And the average fat grams was that, sodium, and I've got that's pretty good. I don't need all of those decimal places, so I'm gonna go down to just 1/10 of a decimal point. We'll round to that. Now, if I wanted to, I could pull this formula down. And well, what happened? I just replaced all this. Well, what happened is that those were all still for General Mills. So if I go back and I replace this with Kellogg's, that should work out. And if I replace this with P for Post, that should work out. And Nabisco, Quaker Oats, and R for Ralston. And now if I wanted to, I can drag all of these over and it's going to fill in all of those. But I'm not going to do that because that's for you to do. All right.